All right, hello and welcome. Happy World Tarot Day. I'm Nadia Black, and this is the Black Magic Underground. And today, in honor of World Tarot Day, we are hosting this tarot class, and I'm going to do some readings as well. So I'm so excited that you are here with me. Tarot is my favorite divination tool. It is one I have used since I was a very small child. My mom had a deck that she kept very secret from the world, especially my grandma. And I stumbled upon it when I was 5, 6 maybe, and just absolutely fell in love. I loved the pictures. I loved the connection to the cards. I loved how they felt in my hand. There was nothing I didn't love about tarot. But on the flip side of that, when my grandma found out that I was using tarot and that I knew what this stuff was about, she lost it on me. She called it evil, said I was playing with demons and bringing them into her house. She said I was evil and all of these things, right? All of the things that are associated with magic and the esoteric and the occult and spirituality that's outside of the framework of, the mainstream narrative. Like that was the response that I got from my grandma. And so I shut that part of me away from the world. I didn't shut that part of me down. I was so connected to astrology and tarot and magic, and I felt this deep connection with myself and the world and everything around me. I felt energy. I saw visions. I saw beings that didn't necessarily exist in our physical reality, but I saw them just as plain as I would see you if you were standing in front of me. That's what I grew up with, and I couldn't turn it off. I couldn't hide it. I just had to hear from my grandma that I was evil. And then from my mom, she before she died, she actually told me, she said, the things that you were able to do as a kid were scary. It scared me that you had all of this ability to see things that she couldn't see. And so that is the framework from which I have approached so much of my own personal work, was to undo all of the stories that I heard about who I was and who people like me were, and that we were evil and bad and wrong and all of that. So deconditioned myself from that belief system, and I have allowed myself to really flourish in my own creative magical power. And that's part of what I want to share with you today, is one of my favorite tools, and that is tarot. And tarot is a divination tool. At its very core, it is a way for us to connect with what is beyond the veil, to connect with those energies that are greater than ourselves, and to have a way to translate what we experience in the ethereal realm into a way that our conscious brains can understand it. So how I approach tarot is as a conversation. I'm having a conversation with these energies beyond myself. And how I do it, I'm going to share a little bit of my methodology here as I weave in throughout this class, some of the more standard ways of doing tarot. I'm going to share with you how I do it, because how we connect with our own magic is going to be unique for each and every one of us. So my magic, and how I've come to this place of understanding how my power works, I was guided by the universe. I didn't actually take any formal classes on any of this stuff until much, much later in my journey. I was a student of God, is what I like to call it. And I truly believe that for much of my journey, the gods and goddesses and energies beyond us were coming into my conscious reality and showing me how this works. So I learned a lot of what I know about tarot from Lilith, who is, that way, right there, that's Lilith. She has taught me a lot. Hecate has taught me a lot, because Hecate is the goddess of magic, and other deities and entities that exist beyond this physical reality that also know how to weave themselves into this physical reality, because it's all connected, right? That's where I've learned most of it, and I've also taken some classes as well. But I'm going to just share with you what I feel is most important about learning about tarot, because this is a lifelong journey, potentially, right? Like, it's learning, and working with tarot isn't a one-time thing. You can't just take one class and be like, I have it. It is an ongoing journey of personal discovery, of connecting deeper with the divine, and that is how I'm going to teach this workshop, is a tool to go deeper within yourself so that you can connect more fully with the divine, so that you can reveal more of your authentic power and magic. All right, that's what tarot is for me, and that's the framework from which I'm going to teach this class. So, what is tarot? I will say this: Nada, my partner in crime at the Black Magic Underground and in other ways, is really the expert on the history of tarot and the symbology. They have done deep dives into all of this far beyond what I have. So if you have any of those more technical questions, they are the person to ask. I have approached it from an energetic understanding, and then I have gained the logical understanding. So if you want more of the technical how-to stuff, Nada is the person, is the expert in this duo here. So tarot is an ancient tool, that has been used in. Let me start this over, because I've got like 16 different stories coming in my head, because tarot is a lot of things, and I'm bringing it into this moment in a way that is easy to talk about. So tarot is a tool. I'm going to grab my favorite tarot deck. So tarot, this is what we're talking about here. Tarot cards. So it is a story. Above all else, tarot is a story. It's the hero's journey. We start at the Fool, and we end with the World, which is completion. That's your major arcana. And in order to more fully understand the story, we have our minor arcana, which are our cups, our pentacles, our wands, and our swords. Okay, so this is basically what tarot is. Okay, this is my beautiful deck. I love it so much. It's my favorite. They're crows, which is my favorite thing here. There we go. So we have in tarot a story that is unfolding, and it is a story of a person going out into the world, a being going out into the world on their own journey and trusting that the universe is guiding them. And it's based on archetypes of the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor. So these are all archetypes that we all carry within us. So all of us are the entire major arcana. All of us are going through the journey of the major arcana at all through our lives. This isn't you start at point A and end up at point Z, you're done. No, tarot is a deeply interwoven web of stories that make up the fullness of your life, that make up the fullness and multidimensionality of your existence. Tarot is a journey from this realm and beyond. So we are talking about a multi-layered approach to looking at how conscious beings expand, how conscious beings move through this world. That is what the tarot is. Now, oftentimes in popular culture, tarot is seen as this tool where you come when you're like, should I break up with my boyfriend? Right? Like, yeah, we can go to the tarot for that, but we can also go to the tarot for deeper conversations with ourselves, for deeper conversations with the divine, for deeper conversations with particular flavors of energy that we want to connect with. We can go to the tarot to ask our subconscious to talk to us. We can use the tarot as a translation tool from what we need to hear to like what our conscious mind can understand. And as you deepen your understanding of tarot and the cards, then you can have an even more complex conversation with the cards, with yourself, with whoever, whatever you're trying to talk to. And it is an ongoing journey of learning and understanding. So I don't know if you saw what card was first. So this is the Devil card. This is the devil himself, or one of the devils himself. So we can understand, what does the devil mean in my own life? What does it mean when the devil shows up in a reading for me personally? Because my connection with the devil card, my connection with the devil is very different than a lot of people, because I've done a very deep dive into the dark gods and goddesses, and the devil is one of those dark gods. And so when the devil shows up in my cards, it's not this bad, evil thing. It's like, oh, this is either my dad, like father energy, because I deeply connect with the devil as my father, my spiritual father. So either like my dad's showing up and he's saying like, kiddo, I got you. Or perhaps the devil is showing up because it's showing me those darker parts of myself that I hide from the world, or I'm afraid of. The devil card can show up in times when I need to like step more fully into my dark power that tends to like really freak the mainstream world out. Like when I need to really own that power, the devil card comes up to remind me that I am an incredibly powerful being, and so are you, and that I need to more fully show that power. So my understanding of what this card means could be very different than how you experience it. And that is the magic of the tarot. Because as you work with the cards, as you work with your own personal deck, you're going to get to know each of the cards on a intimate and personal level. And what I found to be really beautiful is, as I do readings for myself, as I work with the cards and ask it questions and I get the answers, I start to notice patterns, and I start to pick up on, like, when I'm falling into a pattern, the cards will show me, because the cards will start to reveal that pattern. I'll be like, oh, well, this same 3 cards, is coming up now that I know came up when I was going through this other experience. I wonder what's connected. And we can use it as a personal growth tool to help us then use all of the things that we're learning on how to work through trauma and heal old wounds and patterns and all of those things. The tarot can actually be a guide in that journey, because you're seeing just flat out in front of you what's going on, so that you can then systematically work through those challenges and problems. So the tarot is a beautiful opportunity to get to know yourself better. And then you can offer readings to other people. But the thing is, you want to make sure that you're taking yourself out of the equation when working with the cards, unless like you're pulling yourself well, I'm gonna go with that. When you're first starting to do readings for other people, you're trying to pull yourself out of the equation and really connect with the person that you're doing the reading for, so that you can understand their connection and where they're coming from, what their perspective is, and what the cards might mean to them. So I always approach tarot as a conversation. It is a conversation between myself and the cards. And then if I'm reading for another person, it's a conversation between me, myself, the cards, and the person in front of me, and all of their guides and the people that want to show up to help inform what is being revealed in the cards. All right. So it becomes a conference call very, very quickly. And that's, so as I do readings for people, or as I show you a reading for a bigger question, I want you to know that that's the perspective that I'm coming from. So let's talk about the Major Arcana, because that's the really important part to all of this. So if you're just starting out, we can start out with just the Major Arcana, because that is the hero's journey. That is the journey from infinite potential, which is the Fool's card, all the way through to the world, which is the completion of the cycle. And know this, you are always on multiple journeys at any given moment. You are a multidimensional, let me say that again. You are a multidimensional being who exists in various places on your path all at the same time. So where you are in your parenting journey might be different than where you are in your relationship journey, which might be different than where you are in your career journey, which might be different. You know, we have different places in our journey. And when it comes to healing, because that's personally what I use my cards for, is my personal healing journey. So on your personal healing journey too, you can be in multiple places along your path, depending on what you're healing. So like your mother wound and your father wound, if you carry those, you could be mostly healed in the mother wound and like just getting started on working through your father wound. And so the cards can show you these patterns. And so you might be feeling in one area of your life like the badass high priestess, and then in another area of your life you're just like not that. you're the tower. Right? So in some moments you are the high priestess, and in other moments it's the tower, which is the moment of major change. And you can be all of that at one time. And so another reason I love tarot and highly recommend that you start this journey is that you can get really specific about where you are in specific parts of your life. And you can get that clarity that your brain is going to overthink, but the cards are going to reveal the truth. You cannot hide from the truth of your deck. So that brings me to my next point, which is this. Always trust the cards. You cannot fuck this up, okay? Trust what you pull. And in your journey with tarot, as you either get to know, as you just start out on the journey, or as you deepen your journey, you're going to also be deepening your own intuition and trust in your own inner authority, and trust in the fact that everything is always exactly as it should be. Even if you don't like the answer, it's exactly as it should be. And the tarot is revealing to you the exact right information. You might not understand it exactly in that moment, but it is showing you what it is that you need to know. And we can always trust that. So one of the first questions that people ask is, how do I shuffle my tarot deck? Like, what do you do when you first get a tarot deck, right? What do you do when you first get a tarot deck? And how do I shuffle my cards? These are places where people get caught up right at the very beginning. So let's just talk about that. It doesn't fucking matter. Doesn't fucking matter. Just do it, whatever feels good. I'm going to show you a couple of ways to like work with your deck here. So if you're a beginner or wanting to maybe learn some new things, I'm going to show you that. And I can give you some starting points, but know this, it is a starting point. Always trust your own inner authority. Okay, I will never say this is the one true way to do any of this stuff, whether it's ritualistic magic, tarot, astrology, none of it. There's no one true way. There are systems and structures and patterns. Once you understand that, just go for it, have fun. So when you first get a deck, and let me just kind of just show you a couple of decks before we jump into like, what do you do? So this, I showed you mine. I have the Crow Tarot. It's my favorite. When I read tarot, I always call upon my crows so that so crows can go in beyond the veil. They exist in the underworld. They can go pretty much wherever, and then they can return back with that information. So I always call upon my crows to come. One sits on my shoulder and kind of whispers in my ear. So I send my crows out into the ether, and then they return through the cards the wisdom that I'm asking for. Okay, so it's the Crow deck. That's why it's my favorite. It's just the most in alignment with how I work with my cards. But there's others. So I like the really highly themed decks. This is another one. I really liked working with this one when I was doing an exploration into my goddess. Like really, really exploring the goddess, the mythical goddess tarot was a beautiful way for me to deeply connect with the various energies of the goddess, both dark and light, in order to feel it more deeply in myself. So I used this deck to integrate the energies of the goddess into my being, and I loved it. I don't use it as much now because I've done a lot. I've passed a lot of that work. But if somebody comes to me for a reading and I sense that they're in that place of needing to really embody the goddess more fully, or at least, or get to know her more fully, I'm gonna come to this deck. All right, now for the super fun stuff. So we have a whole box of tarot decks. It's fun when you have two people in a polycule who are just obsessed with this kind of stuff, because you end up with a whole collection of magical stuff. So you can also go deeper into historic decks. So things like, these are going to be some of the more traditional decks that you might have seen. So this is more traditional tarot. These rely very heavily on symbology, numerology, patterns, systems, a word I can't think of right now. Anyway, it'll come to me. So these are all very structured decks. So if you are somebody, if you're Virgo, and really like system structure, you want there to be like a reason for things, these are very much the decks that I would recommend coming into, because you can go so deep into this, because the symbology is there in ways that is very different than, let's say, the Crow Tarot, because this relies on a very different set of symbols and things like that. But when you go into a more traditional deck, you have more traditional symbology. A lot of it comes from the Kabbalah, or Kabbalah, depending on how you've learned how to pronounce that, and wisdom of the Bible, actually. I have a lot of the magic that I have learned how to do, I read in the Bible, because the Bible is full of magical references, numerology, celestial focal points, astrology, like all sorts of cool stuff like that. And so a lot of these more traditional tarot decks are based on a lot of that similar ritualistic kind of magic and divination. So that's just a couple. You can go all sorts. I mean, we really do have like an amazing collection. This is just a couple of them. I have even more that I didn't grab that I could show you. But if you're ever interested, grab me at an event and say, I want to see all your tarot cards. All right, so that's kind of the different decks that you can get. So there are, and tarot is different than an oracle card, if you have that question. So there are tarot decks and there are oracle cards. They kind of follow the similar, they're divination tools to connect with something beyond yourself, but they exist on slightly different operating systems. I also have some oracle decks that I love using, but they don't necessarily follow the same storyline that the tarot follows. And I call it tarot. I've heard it pronounced other ways. Again, no one true way. We actually, the history of tarot is incomplete at the moment. So it often gets traced back to Italy. I think that that's just the first time that somebody thought to write it down. I think this is wisdom that has been passed from person to person to person for many, many, many centuries before we have like written record of it. That's my own personal feeling. That's what feels true for me. But the tarot has that lineage of the story that is being told of the hero's journey, and it has a very like clear system that is used. And oracle cards don't necessarily follow that same system, even though a lot of the same properties that you use in tarot exist in oracle cards, it can be easier to start with an oracle card reading for yourself and really trusting into your intuition. So if you are really just like super brand new to following your own intuition, to listening to your inner guidance system, if you're very new to connecting with the esoteric and the divine and all of that, oracle cards are a very good starting point for that, because you're not needing to learn so much about like the meaning of cards, and you can read the book and apply it to your life. Whereas tarot, although tarot is a very simple thing too, because almost all tarot decks, and I say almost all because I've gotten a couple that did not come with them, but almost all tarot decks come with a booklet that teaches you about the deck, and inside it will show you all of the different cards and give you meanings and readings. And they mostly also, almost all of them that I've ever had, will give you a particular spread that you are like invited to use with that deck, because the person that created the deck put a lot of work into how they created it and how they structured it. And inside the book, they're going to share with you how they use the deck and what spreads that they use. So you can start off with tarot as a beginner too, and rely on the book. Just read the book, right? Read it, and then feel into it. Does that feel true for you? Does that meaning feel true for you? And if not, then you can just ask the card, what does this mean to me, right? The moon card. This is often associated with the feminine. It's darker, emotional kind of connection. But is that how you personally connect with the moon? Do you connect with the moon in a different way? The card you see behind me is mostly, you see tits and dick behind me, but it is the Lover's card. And how I connect with the Lover's card is probably different than how you do. So as you're working with your deck, lean on, it's okay to pull out the book. Everybody does it. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, if you're talking to somebody who has like really, really learned tarot, they have learned a lot from the book that came with their very first deck. I promise you. And so lean on the book, read it, get to know it. And another reason why I really like this Crow deck is I really like how the booklet describes each of the cards. I was able to really have a clear understanding of the cards from the book, and then I deepened my practice by exploring it. So what do you do when you first get a deck? Is there something that you need to do? Do you need to cleanse the cards? That sort of stuff. Yes, I think so. I think that's how I approach it. Yes. We want to get the energy out that isn't ours, that isn't serving us or the message that we're trying to have. Like, the deck has been sitting in a shop for weeks, months, years. It's attracted some energy, and we just want to get it out. Now, this is the system and methodology that I learned how to do it, so I'm going to teach it to you. And I've actually fell into this, and I think it does work. So you hold your deck like this in your hands. You take your other hand, and now which hand you use is important in all of this. So I learned it, your non-dominant hand, you hold it in, and then you hit it with your dominant hand, and that's kind of pushing out the energies. Now, is it just this act that pushes out the energy? Absolutely not. You can sit and jerk off your cards all day, and without the proper intention behind it, like, it's not doing anything. All right, so what we want to do is we want to connect with the energy of the cards, and we want to hold it, and we want to feel it, and we want to sense it. We want to connect with it. And with the hand that's not holding the cards, you are envisioning this releasing. As you tap the deck, you are releasing that energy from it, the energy that no longer serves. And we're going to go back into that connection that we have with the trust in ourselves, that everything we're doing is perfect and aligned. Okay, everything that we're doing is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. So when I tap my cards, I know that the energy that's not supposed to be there anymore is going to be released. Where does it go? None of my business. What is it going to do after it's out of the deck? None of my business. The gods and goddesses and all the other energies that are much higher than I am can take care of it. I simply release it from this physical connection. That's why we're doing this. So we're releasing that energy. Now, other ways that you can do this, you could blow the energy away. I like to do that one a lot. You can, I fling energy. You'll see me, like, if you're ever in an event with me and I just start doing this, I just like this, I'm actually just like flicking energy off of me because I don't want it anymore. And so I envision the energy just like, so you can do that with your cards. You can kind of like flick the energy off. You can blow the energy off, whatever you need to do to get that cleared. And then you want to connect with your cards, because this is your tool to the other realms. This is your tool to connect deeper with yourself. This is your tool, and you want to create a relationship with it. This is a living, breathing being. Even though it doesn't breathe like we do, it still is a conscious being, and we want to treat it as such. That's why a lot of people have rules around their decks, like who can touch it, who can't touch it, whether or not you put anything on top of it, how you hold it on your altar, all sorts of things. These rules that people create, these boundaries that people create around their decks, are a way to protect the energy and that connection with this, what we truly believe is a conscious being, because everything is conscious. So this deck is conscious too, right? And we're creating that flow and that relationship with it. So you want to create that connection, and you want to get to know your deck. One of the easiest ways, the first way that I ever learned to do this was to take your deck and put your imprint on every single card. And however you want to do that, if you want to lay them down one at a time and touch every single one, if you want to go through the deck one by one, looking at each card, meditating on it, whatever that looks like for you, you're just developing that energetic connection between you and your deck. That is a really important process to go through in order to really connect your essence with the essence of the cards, so that you can have a deeper conversation. Okay, so once you've cleared the deck, connected with the energy, now it's time to go through the cards. So when you get your deck, you're going to have the Major Arcana. And I should have done this before, but I'm not going to go through the Major Arcana. That's a more advanced class. If you want a deeper dive into tarot, we're going to be doing more advanced study stuff later. That's not what this is. This is more of an intro class, kind of getting, answering some of those like very basic questions that people have when you're beginning this journey. But you have your Major Arcana. So what I invite you to do with your first tarot deck is to go through the Major Arcana and read about the different cards, and thinking about it in terms of, this is a journey. This is a journey of growth, of learning, and challenges arise on those journeys. So we have, oftentimes, like when we think about tarot, it's like, these are the good cards. We want to get the Lover's card, and we want to get the High Priestess, but we don't want to get like the Tower, And I would invite you to flip that understanding and, recognize that when those cards come up in your reading, they're not bad things. It's not, oh, this is a bad thing. It's showing you where you are in a journey, and it's potentially showing you how to navigate around these challenges that come up. Because on any hero's journey, you're going to have challenges. You're going to meet, things that might feel a little scary, that are going, so that you can grow and get past that point and move forward. So we need to learn to accept those challenges that come along our journey. So I want you, as you're dancing with the Major Arcana, to see what comes up for you when you pull the Devil card, or when you pull the Tower card or the Death card, and see, what you feel. Or maybe, like, how do you feel when you see Judgment? What feelings show up within you, and how are you connecting with those feelings? And how else might you connect with those feelings? If fear comes up, when you see the Tower card pulled, what is behind that fear, and what is that card revealing to you? Because our cards are always revealing the truth to us, whether we like it or not, right? So what truth are the cards revealing to you? Okay, so that's going to be, I'm going to kind of end the class kind of portion there. So it was a, intro, fun level class on, the tarot and a little bit about it, and especially a slightly different perspective than you might have already had about the tarot, because there's a lot of misconceptions that float around the internet about what tarot is and what tarot isn't. And at its core, it's just a way for you to talk to yourself, basically, and more fully understand what yourself is trying to say to yourself. So if you have questions, share them with us in the Telegram group, and I'll answer those for you. But let's do a reading here. All right, so I am going to, let's see, open this up. All right, awesome. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to do a reading for a daily spread that you could do. So what I'm going to do. I'm going to teach you a very basic spread that you can use from here until eternity. I still do it. It's one I taught Sonata when they were first jumping into their journey, and they still use it almost every day. I learned it actually from this deck right here. It's called the Yoni spread, and that's what we're going to do. So I know there's the past, present, future spread. Awesome. We're going to go a little bit deeper. So when you do a reading, you want to first connect in with the cards. I like to, I'm going to sit a little closer to you. Hello. You want to connect with the cards, and I like to do an invocation. So I will hold the cards. I usually hold them somewhere close to my chest and do lots of deep breaths and really get my energy flowing into the cards, and then allowing the energy of the cards to flow into me. So I hold them and we connect and we kind of have a conversation. And then sometimes I like to invite my spirit guides, the people, the beings that guide me on my journey. I will invite them in. Anybody that needs to be here, any energies that feel the need to show up in this reading, I invite them to come. And then I ask my question. And I like to do very open-ended questions. Should I break up with my boyfriend is probably not a question that I'm going to ask of my deck. But we can ask questions like, what do I need to know about this relationship right now? What am I not seeing that can be revealed to me? And it's not just about relationships. We can ask these about anything. Your career, your personal healing journey. You can ask the cards pretty much anything you want. You might not like the answer, but you can ask them anything. And so you hold the deck, you get really present with it, and you breathe in and you connect, you call everyone in, ask the question. What is it that you want to know in that moment? So what do I need to know right now that someone out there needs to hear? Because I'm feeling a connection that there is a message that needs to come through for the greater collective, and I'm open to being the channel for that message. So guide my hand as I share this conversation that we're having with the world. So then you can shuffle the deck. Another question that I get a lot is, how do you shuffle your deck? How do you want to shuffle your deck? I like to just kind of feel them around. I do this a lot. It's one of the ways. You can shuffle them like a regular card deck. You can have people cut the cards in certain ways. One of my favorite ways to do is actually just lay all the cards out and swirl them around and pick from there. I practice chaos magic. This is probably a really important thing to share at this moment. I am a chaos witch. I practice chaos magic. Chaos is one of my love languages. I exist in the realm of chaotic magic where I just trust that the outcome is exactly what it's supposed to be. Now, on the flip side of that is very systematic, structured magic. So some practitioners like there to be formulas and systems that are deeply connected to their own personal journey. If that is you, that's amazing. However you feel connected to the cards. If you need it to be every single time you shuffle it the same way and you cut the cards the same way, that is perfect and beautiful and an amazing way to do tarot. It's not how I do it. I just do chaos, but you can do it however you want, whatever feels the most connected for you. Okay, so you shuffle the cards, and then in that place of connectionness, you start to draw it. So we're going to do a yoni spread. It looks like this. Okay, it looks like a yoni, and yoni is a word for no other words coming to mind. It's pussy, like, right? It's pussy spread. So we have the tip here, and then we have this card here and this card here. And the card at the bottom is what is happening underneath the surface. What do I need to know that I can't see? The second card that you pull is answering the question, what is the recommended course of action? And the final card is the possible outcome. Now, how I read this spread is I have whatever is being revealed, and then I ask, okay, so what do y'all recommend? So we've called in our spirit guides, we've called in our team in order to answer these questions. So we asked them for advice. That's what they're going to give us. Like, what should I do in this situation? And then I ask the question, okay, so if I do this, then what's potentially going to happen? And then I can make a decision. It's all about decision. So tarot isn't about telling you what's going to happen. It is a way for you to see potential possibilities of what could happen. And then you make decisions on how you want to move forward. Tarot isn't this like, well, you pulled this card. This is how it's going to be. Surrender. No. All of this is reclaiming our power, reclaiming our ability to choose what we do with our lives moving forward. So tarot is another tool of reclaiming our power and remembering the fact that we have to take radical responsibility for how we show up in the world. So we can say, what is the recommended course of action and what's the potential outcome if I follow that? And then we can have an answer, and then we can decide. And I'll show you a little more advanced version of that after I pull it. So let's do this. So card 1 that's going to go in the bottom position is the Ace of Pentacles. Ooh, Daddy came. So the Devil is going to go into the recommended action slot. And for potential outcome, we have the Sun. That's super fun. Now, we can talk about reverses and all of that stuff in a more advanced class, but for now, we're not doing reversies. No reversies here. No takesies, backsies, and no reversies. That's the rules of these games right here in this moment, but as we know, fuck the rules, do what you want. All right, so we've got the Ace of Pentacles is what's happening beneath the surface. Now, you can always come to you can call in your little handy-dandy notebook at any point in time, all right? So if you pull the spread and you are like, okay, what does any of this mean? Read the book. It's okay. It's okay to read the book. So I'm going to just tell you, though, what this means to me and how I'm going to interpret it, because tarot is a game of interpretation, right? It is, how do I interpret this? How do I interpret this for myself? How would I interpret this for the greater collective. So we've got the Ace of Pentacles, which is that moment when, so Pentacles represents the earth element, like the worldly element, the material world. So each of the different symbols of the Minor Arcana represents an element. So Pentacles represents the earth, Swords represents air, Cups represents water, and Wands represents fire. And each of those has a different thing connected to it. Again, if you're really into this and want more, let's take this into a more advanced class. But you need to know that. So Pentacles is the earthly material world. So the Ace of Pentacles is that moment when everything you start to get clarity around like what's happening in a situation in your physical world. It's like, so for me personally, I've been experiencing a lot of transition and change in my life, and all of that happened first in the energetic realm, and I'm watching it unfold in the material world, in my physical reality. And so for me, the Ace of Pentacles right now represents this clearing away of the confusion that I've been feeling about what my next step is. Because when I have that like feeling of, oh my God, like when we have infinite potential, sometimes that can lead to overwhelm, because like, well, everything is possible. I could do everything. And so the Ace of Pentacles is showing up to say, all right, you've had this like, kind of chaos happening in your brain. You don't have the answer. The answer is revealing itself, right? So in what's happening below the surface, the answer is revealing itself. Now, I could take this to mean, okay, it's happening right now, and I can connect that to, okay, yeah, I actually can really connect with moments where I'm feeling the fog lifting. Actually, this class right here was a feeling of the fog lifting. When it came to me like, oh my gosh, I want to do this tarot class, that felt like a moment of the fog lifting. So I could take this very literally and say, the Ace of Pentacles is representing my decision to do this class and put forth in the material world all that has been gathering in my energetic reality. And now I get to just do it and be in this physical reality of clarity. Okay, so that's what's happening underneath the surface. So now if I take this into the broader world of, out for the collective, because that's actually what I asked the cards to reveal, right? Was what do we need to know in the collective? Because that's what I felt coming through. So when we come into the Ace of Pentacles in the collective, for me, I have been doing this work of radical, revolutionary, sacred rebellion for 20 plus years now. And I am starting to actually see in the physical world the changes that I was pulling for 20 years ago. I'm actually seeing it manifesting in the world. I am seeing a greater acceptance of alternate spirituality. I'm seeing a greater acceptance of a lot of alternative belief systems and cultures. That's why the Black Magic Underground, that's what we're all about, is like bringing in a place for people who have been on the outskirts to come together to create community so that we can affect change in the external world. So honestly, for me, this spread is very much for this group. Like, this is our group spread right now and where we are as a community. And we are at that place where people like us get to finally like exist in the world freely and without that fear that we've often felt. Like, this is a moment where in the material world, the fog is lifting for us and we get a moment to be in that. But then we have the Devil card in the recommended course of action. And we know based on so one of the things that I've studied in my life is historic revolutions, especially in underground movements. So things like the Black Panthers, the suffragist movement, and then even before, like, very much Jesus, like his very radical anarchist spiritual revolution. That's another one that I love so much and have studied so deeply. And in every single revolutionary moment, when the underdogs start to have some success, we often get backlash. And that's what we're seeing in the world. right now, right? We have anti-trans legislation just showing up almost everywhere. We have Florida that feels like a fascist dictatorship. We have drag shows being banned. Like, it feels like our way of life, these alternative ways of life, are under attack. And so the devil card is showing up as a way to just remember our power. Our darkness is our power, because people are afraid of it. People are afraid of the devil. People are, push that away. One of the things, if you have crystals laying out on your desk, right? I heard somebody say this the other day. They're like, somebody asked if I was a devil worshiper, like, from crystals to devil worshiper. And being a devil worshiper, connecting anyway with the devil, is like this bad, evil thing out in like this other world. But we can reclaim that. We can say, I honor the darkness within me. I see the darkness that I carry, and I love it. I find power in these parts of me that other people might be afraid of, and we can reclaim that power. So the devil is showing up in what is our recommended course of action as the collective community, and that is to let our darkness shine, let our freak flag fly, and be proud of who we are, and learn how to cultivate safety within ourselves and cultivating safety within this group, so that we can be more fully in the world, because it is our time, right? The Ace of Pentacles is telling us this is our time. This is your time. This isn't the time to shrink. This isn't the time to hide. This is the time to step out and do the damn thing. And the devil is saying, I've got your back. Your power, your darkness is your power. They are afraid of you, but don't you dare be afraid of them, because you have nothing to fear. You are divinely protected. You are divinely guided, and you are worthy of being in the world just as you are. And then we have, and what's going to happen. So if we take this advice, what's the potential outcome? And it's the sun. So a beautiful thing about the suns, we have, in the spectrum of energy, we have dark and we have light, we have contraction, we have expansion. These aren't polarities in terms of like one is here and one is here. Think of it more as like a spectrum, a color wheel kind of spectrum, where it all exists, and you kind of just get different shades depending on where you move your little mixer, so that's how we're going to think of it. So the devil, while associated with the darkness, is actually the light bringer. So Lucifer is the morning star. Lucifer is the light bringer. Right. So Lucifer was the brightest of the angels, who is then cast into hell to rule over that realm. So this is going to go really deep. We're going to talk about this in more classes and things, all of this symbology that has been distorted by the Christian narrative. But Lucifer was sent to the realm of hell as the keeper of those who are going through the dark night of the soul, basically. So people who are experiencing things that need to be shed in order to step more fully into the light, step more fully into their fuller expression. Lucifer is actually that the keeper of that container, the ruler of that realm. But Lucifer is the light, the light bringer, is very much that energy. And so we have that light then showing up in the sun. All right. And so as a potential outcome, we have the sun, where we get to shine in the world. So there's a really beautiful saying, what's done in the dark always comes to the light. Now, this has also been distorted, because it's often interpreted as, well, it's done in the dark, it's always going to come to the light. Can't do shady shit in the dark and not have it be revealed. Okay, that's one interpretation. What I like about that saying, what's done in the dark always comes to light. When you plant a seed, you plant it in the darkness, and it actually thrives in the darkness in the beginning. It needs the dark container of the soil. A baby is gestated in the darkness of the womb. Creation happens in the darkness, and then it is shown then it comes into the light to be seen. But the work that we're doing in the dark, black magic underground, right? The work that we do in the dark will be revealed in the light. For me, there is no question absolutely no question that if we continue to learn and grow and join in stronger, that we will eventually create the world that we desire to see, where you can be of any belief system, any sexual orientation, any gender expression, whatever, and exist in a world freely and beautifully. I fundamentally believe that that is possible. Not just possible, it's going to happen. It can't be stopped. At this point, the wheels are in motion, and it's just a matter of like, are you on board or not, right? So this spread is just revealing that to me. Like, we are in a moment of coming together and clearing away the fog of feeling like we're dark and bad and evil and, are going to hell and all these things that so many of us experienced in our childhoods and in other parts of our lives, that that we felt like we had to shrink so much of our authentic expression in order to be seen or to belong. But what so many people, somewhat because of COVID, were kind of, their eyes were opened to kind of how fucked up the system is. And so many people realize, like, I don't actually want to be a part of that. I don't want to belong there. I always say, I was like, there came a day when I was like, I don't want to sit at their table, and I'm tired of begging. I'm not going to beg anymore. I'm going to make my own picnic, because I don't even want a table. Like, I want it to be an egalitarian picnic where you can have a blanket and your own kind of spread of food if you need it to be vegan, organic, gluten-free, whatever, or if you want it to be like a big carnivorous diet, like, it's your picnic table, your picnic blanket, do what you want. And then you can get up and you can go visit other picnic tables. And that's what I want to see. That's the world I'm envisioning. And especially like the Ace of Pentacles too is a really interesting one, because it's telling us to keep our eye on the prize, to stay sharp and to stay focused on it is that we wish to see in the world. So we're at a moment where we can choose to see our power. We can choose to see our greatness. We can choose to see just how extraordinary we are. And we can choose to then focus on the vision of the world that we desire to create. And the Black Magic Underground is a collective community of people who are working to create that world. Right, so we need to keep our eye sharp and focused on what that world looks like. That's why we're going to have those conversations together of, what do you want to see in the world? And then we need to remember that our darkness is our power, because so many people run from their darkness. But when you embrace it, when you use it to fuel you, to heal you, when you love all parts of you, the light, the dark, and everything in between, and everything outside of that, you possess a power that is unfucking stoppable. And then we are going to see the light of day. Our vision will become our lived reality, both in our own inner world, both in our inner world, our external world, and then as a collective community. So I'm so excited. This is an amazing spread. Yeah, this is an awesome community, and I'm so excited that you're a part of it. So I'm going to end with that. This is just a taste of tarot. If you would like a reading, so I do readings for people. If you would like a reading, I am going to offer those to the community, and then as a extra special bonus. So if you hear the music behind me, this is deeply healing music. This is an energetic frequency designed to help move energy through your body. So go ahead and book a reading with me. You can do that. You can message me and we'll get something set up. Book a reading with me. And as a bonus, Nada is going to create a special musical healing journey for you based on what came up during your reading, so that you can align with the frequency that you want to have after the reading. Because what ends up happening is, really, tarot is about, it's that journey, right? And it's about the journey of coming home more deeply to yourself. And we do that by shedding different layers and coming into resonance with our authentic energetic expression. Again, we can talk about this more later, but music is a beautiful way to own that, hear that frequency and be pulled toward it. So you don't have to do so much of the mental work. You can just allow the energy to do its job and move forward from that space of energetic alignment. So book a reading with me, and as a special bonus, you will get a customized musical healing journey to use as you work with the meaning and the messages behind the cards. So we're going to do that for $150. So the reading would be 60 minutes, and then you would get the musical journey. So it's $150 for that experience. You can DM me and we'll get that booked. I have a spots available next week to get you into, and we'll do that reading. And then just keep looking out. So inside the Black Magic Underground, we're going to keep doing more of these classes and workshops, because just like the cards told us, we're on a mission greater than ourselves. And it's a mission that I am so passionate about, and I'm so excited that you're here with me. So if you have any questions about tarot, I put a pop-up group. Go ask them there, and we'll get to them throughout the day and over the coming days. Ask your questions there. And then if you want a reading, which I highly recommend, especially if you're starting out on your journey and you want to know what it feels like to connect with the cards, or if you've been doing tarot for a while and you want to more deeply connect and have that experience from somebody else tapping into the energy and helping translate the cards for you in a way that maybe you haven't seen before, I really invite you to do that. So just send me a message and we'll get that booked. But thank you so much for joining us for this class. Happy Tarot Day. I'm Nadia Black, and welcome to the magic that is the Black Magic Underground. I will see you next time.